You don't need perfect dirt to grow food that actually feeds you. Most people assume gardening only works if you've got rich, dark soil that crumbles perfectly in your hand, and when they look at their own yard and see clay or sand or something that barely grows weeds, they think they've already lost before they start. That's not how this works. The system I'm about to walk you through was designed specifically for soil that most people would call useless, and it produces food consistently, year after year, without spending hundreds of dollars fixing what's underneath. This isn't about transforming your entire yard into a garden catalog fantasy. This is about building a growing system on top of whatever you already have, using materials that don't cost much and methods that don't require a degree in agriculture. The biggest mistake people make is trying to fix their native soil first. They buy bags of compost, till everything up, mix it in, and hope it works. Sometimes it does. Most of the time, it just drains their budget and their energy before they've grown a single tomato. What I've learned after years of working with people in different climates and different yards is that you don't need to fix the ground. You need to build above it. That's what this system does. It's called a raised bed lasagna garden, and the name sounds more complicated than the reality. You're layering organic materials directly on top of your existing soil, letting them break down over time, and planting into that instead of into the dirt you were born with. It works in clay. It works in sand. It works on ground that hasn't grown anything useful in a decade. Here's how you start. You pick a spot in your yard that gets at least 6 hours of sunlight. It doesn't need to be flat. It doesn't need to look pretty. You're going to build a frame directly on that ground using untreated lumber, cinder blocks, or even stacked stones if that's what you have available. The frame should be about 3 feet wide and as long as you want, but I'd recommend starting with 8 feet if this is your first time. You don't dig. You don't remove grass. You don't touch the soil underneath. You lay down a thick layer of cardboard or several layers of newspaper right over whatever's growing there. This is your weed barrier and your first decomposing layer. You wet it down completely so it softens and starts to mold itself to the ground. Then you start layering. The next material you put down is something brown and carbon-rich. This could be shredded leaves, straw, old hay, wood chips, or even torn-up cardboard if you've got extra. You want this layer about 4 inches thick. On top of that, you add something green and nitrogen-rich. Grass clippings work. Kitchen scraps work if you bury them slightly so they don't attract animals. Coffee grounds, spoiled vegetables, plant trimmings from your yard, anything that used to be alive and green. This layer should be about 2 inches thick. Then you repeat. Brown layer, green layer, brown layer, green layer. You keep going until your frame is filled almost to the top, and then you finish with a final 4-inch layer of compost or aged manure if you can get it, or just more brown material mixed with a little garden soil if you can't. What you've just built is a decomposition engine. All those layers are going to break down over the next few weeks and months, and as they do, they're going to create the kind of soil that plants love. But here's the part most people don't realize. You don't have to wait for it to fully decompose before you plant. If you've added that final compost or soil layer on top, you can plant into it the same day you finish building. The roots will grow down into the layers below as they break down, and by the time your plants need deep nutrients, those layers will have transformed into rich, crumbly soil. I've seen people grow tomatoes, peppers, squash, beans, lettuce, kale, and cucumbers in these beds during the very first season, even though the ground underneath was pure clay that turned into concrete every summer. The reason this system works so well in poor soil is because you're not depending on that soil at all. You're creating your own. The cardboard at the bottom keeps weeds from punching through, but it also breaks down over time and adds organic matter. The layers above it hold moisture better than regular dirt, which means you're not watering twice a day just to keep things alive. And because everything is raised, your soil warms up faster in the spring, drains better after heavy rain, and doesn't compact the way ground-level dirt does when you walk on it. You're building a system that improves itself every season. Every time you pull out a finished plant, you add its roots and stems back into the bed. Every fall, you top it off with more leaves or compost. Over time, the bed becomes more productive, not less. The beauty of this approach is that you're working with natural processes instead of against them. Decomposition happens whether you control it or not, but when you stack materials intentionally and create the right conditions, you're accelerating what would take nature years to do on its own. That's the difference between waiting a decade for your soil to improve naturally and having productive growing space in a matter of weeks. Another advantage that doesn't get talked about enough is how this system handles water. Poor soil usually means either drainage problems or the opposite, where water runs right through and nothing stays moisturized. When you layer organic materials the way I've described, you're creating a sponge effect. The brown materials soak up water and release it slowly. The green materials hold nitrogen and feed the decomposition process. Together, they create a moisture balance that's almost impossible to achieve in native clay or sand. I've watched these beds stay damp for days after a good watering, even in the middle of summer while the ground around them was cracked and dry. That means less time standing there with a hose and more time actually enjoying what you've grown. There's also something deeply satisfying about squeezing a handful of material from one of these beds and feeling it hold together without being muddy. That's the texture you want, and it happens naturally when the layers break down at different rates and create air pockets that roots can push through easily. The cost factor is worth breaking down because I know that's on everyone's mind when they're considering whether to start something like this. If you buy lumber, you're looking at maybe $40 or $50 for an 8-foot bed, depending on what's available in your area. Cinder blocks might run you less. Stacked stone could be free if you've got rocks on your property already. The cardboard is free if you save boxes from deliveries or ask at a grocery store. The brown and green materials are free if you're using yard waste and kitchen scraps. The only thing you might need to buy is that top layer of compost or soil, and even that can come from a local bulk supplier for a fraction of what bagged stuff costs. You're talking about setting up a system that feeds your family for maybe $75 on the high end, and most of that is the frame, which lasts for years. Compare that to what you'd spend on produce over a single summer, and the math makes itself. Now, let's talk about what you actually plant in this system, because that matters more than people think. You want to focus on crops that produce a lot of food relative to the space they take up. Tomatoes are an obvious choice. A single plant can give you 30 or 40 pounds of fruit over a summer if you keep it fed and watered. Peppers are almost as productive and take up even less space. Bush beans produce for weeks and don't need any support. Squash and zucchini will take over half the bed if you let them, but 2 plants will give you more squash than your family can eat fresh, which means you'll be freezing or giving it away by July. Lettuce and greens are perfect for early spring and late fall, and you can succession plant them every 2 weeks so you're harvesting continuously instead of all at once. In my experience, most people fail with backyard food production not because their soil is bad, but because they choose crops that take forever to produce or need perfect conditions. If you're planting things that require 4 months of warmth and daily attention, you're setting yourself up for frustration. Stick with things that grow fast, produce heavily, and tolerate mistakes. That's how you build confidence and keep going long enough to see the system start working. The first year is about proving to yourself that this actually produces food. The second year is about expanding. The third year is when it starts to feel easy. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you're growing food in a system like this. You stop thinking about gardening as something you do when you have time and start thinking about it as part of how you feed your family. That bed out back isn't a hobby. It's reducing your grocery bill. It's teaching your kids where food comes from. It's giving you something to fall back on if prices go up or supply chains get weird again like they did a few years ago. And because you built the system on top of bad soil instead of spending years trying to fix it, you got to that point faster and cheaper than most people think is possible. One more thing that makes this system resilient. Because you're using organic layers that break down over time, you're also building a population of beneficial microbes, fungi, and insects that help your plants grow. Earthworms will migrate up into your bed from the ground below. Mycorrhizal fungi will colonize the roots of your plants and help them pull nutrients out of materials that wouldn't normally be available. You're not just growing plants, you're growing an ecosystem, and that ecosystem makes everything easier the longer it exists. I've watched beds that started out as pure construction fill, straw, and kitchen scraps, turn into dark, rich soil that smells like a forest floor after 3 seasons of use. If you're looking at your yard right now and thinking the soil is too bad to grow anything, I'm telling you that doesn't matter. You don't need good soil. You need a frame, some cardboard, and a pile of organic material that's going to rot. That's it. You can build this in a weekend. You can plant in it the same week. And by the end of the season, you'll have grown food in ground that everyone told you was worthless. That's not luck. That's not a green thumb. That's just understanding that plants don't care what's 2 feet below them as long as the top layer gives them what they need. Build that top layer, keep it fed, and you'll have a system that works year after year without fighting the dirt you were given. That's the whole point. You're not fixing your soil. You're replacing it with something better, and you're doing it one simple layer at a time.